The eyes, nose, and mouth are where our emotions are best portrayed, writes Kwesi Botchway, a contemporary portrait artist. 19th century French Impressionism and contemporary African social realism blend to create this artist's technique, aimed to draw out the softness of his subjects while representing them in a culturally relevant manner. Originally from Ghana, Botchway pays special attention to a group slowly being pushed from their position of reverence in African society, the elderly. As Western cultural values were brutally enforced through the colonial era and continued to diffuse via globalization, social orders of distinct cultures began to fade into obscurity. The Age of No Return portrait series brings the elderly back into the light, celebrating their lives and reasserting their importance. Kwesi Botchway's use of many hues, high saturation, and varying values in his painting series force the viewer into the gaze of the elderly African subjects of his paintings, employing the dependent nature of the stare to reaffirm intergenerational relationships and challenge Western erasure of African elders. Anything beyond a quick glance at the portraits shows a kaleidoscope of colors in the black subjects. Within the skin, you can find shades of purple, blue, green, yellow, pink, and white. It is nearly impossible to find pure shades of black or brown in the skin, although at arm's length the individual is clearly dark-skinned. Not only is this a masterful use of color combination on Botchway's part, but moves away from showing black skin and black people as one-dimensional and gives a richness and complexity to their physical representation and in turn identity that historically has been denied in art. Botchway does this hyper-intentionally, stating, quote, multicolors translate into multicultures, where contrasting identity constructions can coexist, unquote. This ties back to the artist's stated intention of calling attention to the elderly being unique and extraordinary, especially in the cultural context of intergenerational ties and the wealth of experience and insight elders have to lend to younger generations. Color is also how Botchway chooses to focus the gaze of the viewer. For the purpose of diving deeply into technique, the focus of this analysis will be on this untitled work of an elderly man in his headscarf and robes. Outside the face, there is an abundance of white, red, and pink shades, providing a contrast to the richer, darker tones in the face. This makes the face stand out rather than blend with its background, making it the clear focus. Within the face, the component of value comes into play. While there are bits of white throughout the face, notably under the eyes and his eyebrows and on his chin, the only shade as high value as the subject's headpiece and robe is found in the reflections of the eyes, drawing the viewer's attention there and engaging them in the stare. This then prompts the discussion of how the act of staring and staring back supports the themes addressed by Botchway. As described in Staring How We Look by Garland Thompson, quote, staring is a high-stakes social interaction for everybody involved. The struggle for starers is whether to look or look away. Rather than passively wilting under intrusive and discomforting stares, a staree can take charge of a staring situation and enact a positive self-representation. The issue of positive self-representation is key to Botchway's portraits, already vividly expressed through the colorfulness of pieces and then reaffirmed through the captivating stare of the subjects. This relationship between starer and staree is especially important in the context of African intergenerational relations, noted by Elder and Van der Geest in their work Generational Connections and Conflicts in Africa. The authors explain how the most crucial component of these relationships is the reciprocity between the newest generation and the oldest, most specifically through a sense of mutual dependence that cycles through families as the grandchild becomes the grandparent, necessitating need on both ends of their life. Botchway's portraits mimic this symbiosis in the supportive eye contact he constructs within the expressive content. The subject stares out at the viewer, but not through them. The face that looks out is one of relaxation. The eyebrows are relaxed, connoting a lack of intensity. The eyes are open and receptive, but not so wide as to convey terror or shock. At closer glance, it seems that the subject's pupils are dilated, cueing us into a gaze that is full of love. A nod to this love is found in the pattern of the man's scarf, little hearts scattered across his shoulder. In this loving, he asks nothing of the viewer except that they return it. This is what differentiates Botchway's portraiture. Consider some of the most famous portraits of all time, especially those which make eye contact. The Mona Lisa, Girl with a Pearl Earring, and The Desperate Man by Gustave Courbet. Each of these engage the viewer in different ways. Mona Lisa famously alludes to mystery with her subtle smile. Girl with a Pearl Earring is completely at ease under her viewer's gaze, acknowledging but not engaging them. The Desperate Man exudes horror, the whites of the man's eyes pleading with us for help. For Botchway's man, to be seen is not enough, and would fail to recreate the relationship lost at the hands of Western dismissal. Complex but relaxed, human but wizened, the subject looks into our eyes and invites us to love him back, lest we be the one to make this simple love unrequited. In looking back and loving back, the viewer takes a step towards repairing what has been broken.